See, like this is sort of travel, really minimalist, you know. I had one set of boxer shorts. This is from my week, by the way. Day 2. Day 3. Day 4. Day 5. On the Sabbath I don't wear any pants. And this is an extra pair in case I shit myself.
Starting the altar. The other side is the latest Ambassador Nikki Haley, which made a very great war towards Israel and against the United Nations. And she became a symbol for all the free world against the cruelty and the evil that symbolizes the United Nations. And this is the idea behind the Nikki Haley coin. Nikki Haley coin, she is like a king. She is the lady that symbolizes all this trend of replacing the evils of the United Nations. So you see here the lamp, which is the symbol of the State of Israel and the temple all together. You see the building of the United Nations at New York, but you see the new building in Jerusalem, the flag of Israel and other flags, and Nikki Haley all together. And this is the meaning of this coin.
So like a new United Nations?
Yes.
In Jerusalem?
Yes.
To replace?
Yes. And there will be only 70 seats. Not very precisely, but we want to say so. After the flood, there was scattered in the world 70 nations. We didn't invent a legend. It's very, very deeply embroidered in all across the Bible. Okay. And we want to renew it. And we believe that if the international law will be according to the Bible, there will be temple and there will be peace, real peace in the entire world. There must be leadership against the UN. There must be a Brexit, not only in Britain. They must renew a new organization of the OU according to the interests of the original people of Europe. I am not praying that Europe will be destroyed. I am praying the opposite. I'm praying that Europe will be saved and go back to Christianity and go back to the originality to save the world from savages.
It's a dangerous time for Europe at the moment.
Yes.
And America.
Of course. It's all the same.
These ideologies taking over.
It's all the same.
Anti-West.
It's the flood. It's like the time of the flood of incest, גילוי עריות, bloodshed, and stoning money, and all those 3 or 4...
Jesus said in the days of Noah it would be like this.
What is it?
Jesus said in the last days it would be like the days of Noah. You echoed what Jesus said.
Okay, it's happened.
Prophecy, yeah.
The Freemasonic symbolism in this town is pretty evident.
So hi, my name's Kevin Modis. I'm with the California Brain Tumor Association, but actually collaborate with 10 other groups. One of the groups is emfscientist.org, emfscientist.org. That's 220 doctors and scientists from 39 countries who have looked at health effects from wireless radiation. And from their work and the work of others, we can clearly say that wireless radiation can cause cancer, neurological problems, immune system disorders, and reproductive harm. Clearly, our scientists, along with the other groups I work with, which are composed of people who are developing wireless health effects from their various sources. For instance, people developing brain tumors from their cell phone and the radiation emits. People developing neurological symptoms from the Wi-Fi, from school Wi-Fi. People developing neurological and cancerous health effects from simple smart meters. Smart meters being little wireless meters that are put on people's homes so that the people don't have to come by and read the meter themselves manually. So regardless of the source, and cell towers are the most powerful source of wireless radiation emissions, regardless of the source, the health effects can be the same. So what brings me here today is the rollout of 5G technology. And people need to understand that 5G technology is very different from 2G, 3G, and 4G that preceded it. And that is because the wireless radiation is using a higher frequency. Our current wireless technology uses about 1 gigahertz to 4 gigahertz. This new 5G technology is ultra high frequency, ultra high intensity, and it's 24 gigahertz to 90 gigahertz. To put this in some type of perspective, 90 gigahertz is 90 billion electromagnetic waves per second hitting your body. We know people are already getting sick from the lower frequencies, and we expect, that is our scientists expect, that these higher, ultra-high frequency microwaves are going to bring people to disease quicker and in a more intense form. The other problem with 5G technology is these microwaves are very short. So our old microwaves were about 2.5 to 3 feet long. These are now about 1 inch to half an inch long. And they don't travel very well. So they're going to have to put a little cell tower transmitter in front of about every 2 to 10 homes. Now this is a big problem because we know that cancer rates around regular cell towers are about 3 or 4 times what they normally should be. We also know that there's neurological symptoms that increase as you get closer and closer to a cell tower. Now these new transmitters are going to be placed close to people's homes. It's going to be continuous exposure as with other cell towers, but it'll be emitting a much more higher frequency, high intensity wireless radiation. So we have a tremendous problem that's happening, and people need to understand that the FCC is pushing this technology nationwide.
The disease and the sickness that is on every last one of these trees. This is how the leaves are curling up from the solar radiation, and the spots themselves, I believe, are from the chemtrails. I believe that the chemtrails are specifically targeting food-bearing plants. And believe it or not, you won't believe what I'm just noticing right now. Look at this. My entire side of the woods here is completely dying off. Everything you see here is dying off. Everything you see here is dying off. Look at this. We are not far, my friends. This is a part of their plan. Look at this. This is a part of their plan. This is what they're doing. Every last bit of this just has died. I'm just noticing this. Every last bit of this has just died within the last week. Unreal. Look at all the leaves on the ground. This is not fall. This is not fall. Look at this. All of this is dead. This just happened within the last few days, not week. My friends, my friends, my friends. Oh, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. I can't even begin to tell you. So, as we can see, the mulberry tree, which is a food source that we could depend on if something was to go down, we can see that it's all dying. The whole tree is dying. The whole thing. The whole entire tree is dying right before my eyes. Right before my eyes.
Okay, right there's the white death. All these trees have it. I I mean, they just are literally just covered and covered every tree after tree. Just covered. Killing them. This stuff's growing on the sidewalk over there by the playground. But all these trees, every tree has it, bank to bank. I'm on the Mystic River. But, yeah, all these trees are going.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you live in a condo complex or an apartment complex, you need to make sure that they don't cut your trees down. You see these trees here? These trees actually will shade and block these units from dangerous 5G. When they put these millimeter wave systems in, these trees will be the protection from these emissions. Right now, there is an agenda to cut all trees down everywhere in the city.
Brought out 5G and now all the trees, or a majority of trees in urban areas are going to be removed. What the fuck? Do these people not understand that is where our oxygen comes from? People have got so fucking stupid, so fucking ignorant, they just believe trees are ornaments. They think that they're just ornaments that once a year litter the place with leaves and they're a nuisance and a hassle. Oh, yeah, let's just cut them down so you can have faster fucking internet. You fucking morons. We need oxygen more than we need Facebook or Twitter or fucking Snapchat.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the National Press Club Federal Communications Commission Chairman Tom Wheeler.
It's an honor to be here at the National Press Club. The first generation wireless 1G was voice. The second generation 2G allowed both talk and text. The third generation 3G, the internet, in a limited way. And today's technology 4G completed that digital migration. But if anyone tells you that they know the details of what 5G is going to become, run the other way.
This video is brought to you by the number 5 and the letter G. And pretty soon, everything else will be too.
I have to tell people 5G is a killer. I'm Mark Steele. Anybody who hasn't heard me, I'm a weapons systems head-up display expert, one of the leading experts in the world. I've actually brought cover in relation to this. And the reason I became an expert was because I invented them. What I'm going to say to you today, do not believe a single word I say. Not one. I want you to do your own research. You'll find it's absolutely terrifying. You got your body cover?
Aye.
Oh, good lad. Right, because I'm talking to that. This 5G roll-up is a weapon system. I've got a letter with central government because I know about weapon systems more than anything other.
In Britain, in a place in the north of England called Gateshead, a scientist there called Mark Steele has been very publicly and actively warning people about the effects of LED streetlights, which he says in Gateshead are emitting now 5G.
Right, what's the crack?
Hey, lads, I'm just having a word with these Gateshead council workers about replacing these transmitters on these lights that are causing harm and assaulting the community. This is an existential threat to the economy, to the environment and humanity.
If these transmitters are everywhere, then everyone's at risk, surely.
For Hegel, history moves forward in what he termed a dialectical way. A dialectic is a philosophical term for an argument made up of 3 parts: a thesis, an antithesis, and a synthesis. Both the thesis and the antithesis contain parts of the truth, but they are also exaggerations and distortions of the whole, and so need to clash and interact until their best elements find resolution in a synthesis. One cannot, in short, get there in one leap.
Let's look at the third paragraph. The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the State of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens, obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out into the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time.
The Protocols of the Elders of Zion, also known as the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, is blamed for a rise of anti-Semitism in Russia and Germany and dismissed as fraudulent. Being the person that I am, I always draw my own conclusions. So I examined the protocols in detail, and what I found was far too accurate to dismiss. It's been claimed that this document is a forgery, although this appears too simplistic for such a prophetic text. Furthermore, it's also claimed this text is full of generalizations, truisms, and platitudes, but the fact remains that none of this is sufficient to dismiss the sheer historical accuracy of the text and how this becomes more accurate with each passing decade. For a topic this delicate, an introductory caveat is essential. Let's assume that the protocols were 100% accurate. This in no way justifies genocide on ethnic or religious Jews. It's also important to realise that most Jewish people would be completely unaware of such an agenda, brainwashed into defending the lie through childhood indoctrination. Finally, before continuing, it's important to understand we're not really talking about Jews in the real sense. The people accused of being involved with the protocols are Ashkenazim, who aren't actually Jewish, as I've explained in the past. Hopefully these points will help maintain perspective and balance as we proceed, because a poor reaction will only provide the excuse to strangle us with tyranny. There's far too much in the protocols to cover in a single video of this size. So all I can do is select some of the most notable sections and perhaps revisit this topic in the future. The text outlines how a cabal of so-called Jews will implement a one-world government controlled by their king and rule over all Gentiles or Goyim, derogatory terms for non-Jews, particularly the latter, though not always the former. The text within the protocols is simply too prophetic to dismiss, because it accurately aligns not only with the direction of world events in the 20th century, but the current century, where an increasingly tyrannical international order is emerging. Decades ago, it was easier to dismiss this, but as time has passed, it's become all but impossible. Bearing this in mind, please do not disagree with this video by bringing up questionable claims of forgery. Rather, please explain how a fraudulent document could accurately predict so much of what has passed in over 100 years since the protocols first appeared. As we continue, also always bear in mind how long ago the protocols were written and how much they relate to what we now see around us, especially considering that no matter how capable you are of manipulating the future, there will always be some unexpected occurrences.
Intensified military service and the increase of police force are essential to complete the above plans. It is essential for us to arrange that, besides ourselves, there should be in all countries nothing but a huge proletariat, so many soldiers and police are loyal to our cause.
Obviously, the police are not getting the respect of the British people at all. You know, when I grew up, when my parents grew up, they called them the bobbies and the beat and stuff like that. You know, they got the respect of the community. They were looking out for people. Mostly they were gentlemen. But now it just seems that they're just little soldiers of the corporate elite. And they're just being used. I mean, you know, David Cameron was alleged to have done some type of lewd act with a pig, you know, when he was in office. And you know, Cassette Boy is pretty much a genius as far as editing stuff and putting music on, and making really entertaining but so truthful videos, you know, about the British government in the past few years. So definitely listed that in my previous video. But you know, the police just don't do themselves any favours, do they? We all say, oh, they're doing a hard job and all that, but they're really just carrying out. They're the terrorists at the moment. They are the ones who are the terrorists. They're carrying out the wishes of the elite, who want to just give everyone a number. I've already done that through the social system, you know. So everyone has a number. They have to have a social number to get a security number to get a job, you know. Security, it's all about security. And, you know, for what exactly? They're taking people's DNA left, right and centre, which is against the law, but they're taking it, and then they say, oh, they're destroying it afterwards, you know, so they'll make up some reason to take someone's DNA. There's various videos about that on YouTube. There's just literally so many channels now about how the police are just maliciously targeting people, terrorising people, taking their property, taking DNA samples, taking blood samples, accusing, you know, in the meantime, accusing them of something, theft, rape, accusing them of, you know, malicious communication on this occasion. So, I mean, is that even a law, malicious communication? So they go in and tear up somebody's property, and they hold someone against their will, and that's not malicious. That isn't malicious, you know. I mean, destroying someone's life isn't malicious. They're called pigs for a reason, because they have no regard. They have absolutely no conscience whatsoever. Now, I believe that God created pigs. This is the other thing. They weren't meant for human consumption, right? But they're basically garbage disposal units. God's garbage disposal units. Dogs, pigs and all that, they eat a lot of dirt. They eat a lot of garbage. They eat a lot of things that their digestive system is different from a human being's. And so they're created by God as a sort of nature's garbage disposal units, you know, to keep the environment clean. But these animals become unfit for eating, you know, for consumption. God told us that a long time ago in His Word, and it's still true today. But you know, obviously, I've made videos about this. Churches don't really explain this. The fact that you must have the gift of interpretation of dreams and so on, and to be able to determine what Peter's vision was, you know, in the book of Acts. And it's talking about actually the unclean Gentiles and God making them clean through the blood of the Lamb. You know, when a Gentile gets born again, they become spiritual Jews according to the apostles, you know. But these days, again, there's such confusion about this, and it's Satan is the one who's confusing everyone about these issues. And you know, the occult really tries to make black white and white black and up down and left right. That's generally what they're doing in politics. That's what they're doing in schools. They are not teaching people to think for themselves. They're actually using occult methods to confuse everyone, and it all starts in the church. And Britain has lost the grip of its sanity. It has lost the grip of just pretty much everything. And the elites are the only ones, the ones who are actually pulling the strings, are the you know, behind the scenes. They're the only ones who are really sort of, how would you say? I'm not sure how you'd enjoy what they're doing, but they're certainly making money from it. That's the only thing you can really say. They're making money from it, but are they enjoying themselves? Are they enjoying, like, causing all this pain and torture and murder and theft and destroying people's lives and putting people into emotional turmoil and destroying people's careers? You know, how can any human being enjoy that? And that's why there's a speculation about, you know, are there really reptilians? Are there really not just demon-possessed individuals, but are there actually other, you know, half-breeds that are in control of this human system, the 666 beast system? You know, in other words, are they controlled by demons or some form of hybrids, or indeed the fallen angels? And you know, it's said that so for example, I made a video the other day on Aleister Crowley, and his organisation infiltrated a lot of Masonry and a lot of other societies. He actually came from a Jesuit background. His dad was in the Plymouth Brethren, which was started by a Jesuit. So, you know, when I made the video, Brian Harvey versus the Jesuit-controlled justice system, that's exactly what it is. These are the ones behind the scenes. These occultists who are all linked through these secret societies, and they control all the other secret societies below them, you know, in the pyramid system. So if you're a member of one of those, you're encouraged to put your finger to your lips and shh, you know, which happened to Brian. Remember, he made a video, and the police came in and said, and he's like taking his computer, and the guy put his finger to his lips and went shh like this. Again, this is like an occult. It's just all occult witchcraft, and you got to realize, you know, these people are getting very, very, very bold because they've generally locked down the system. They've generally locked down pretty much the entire system right now. So that's why they're getting very bold, and it's Lucifer, their god's intention, to destroy the native populace of Great Britain. There's no doubt about that. And also, when you look at what's happening to other countries as well, other countries are being destroyed on many occasions by many of these policies that these occultists are bringing in. Spiritually destroyed, mentally destroyed, and in the end they'll try and physically destroy many. And they'll try and hold people. It's this temporal power of the Vatican. You know, they have temporal power. The governments give them temporal power. Like Judas had temporal power, you know, to do what he had to do. And Jesus said, what you do, do it quickly. So we're at that time. We're at that time. It's just like these people are being used by Satan right now, and they're covering over all their wicked pedophilia, all their wickedness. They're covering it over, and they're accusing innocent people of doing the same crimes as they've actually been doing for centuries, for thousands of years actually. But in recent memory, a lot of the crimes that have been done, you know, Alex Jones has spoken about it. And to his credit, you know, he's went into a lot of details about certain things that probably shouldn't have spoken about, and it's gotten him into trouble. So obviously I don't want to go into too much detail on YouTube. You have to just be careful about exactly who you're speaking of and what you're speaking of. But in general, you know, if anyone's denying that we're sort of in the tribulation right now, we've got the Mandela effect. We got everything happening around the world. We got the signs in the heavens. We got the 8 of the 10 plagues taking place the past 7 or 8 years, run about that. And we've only got the plague of darkness, which I did a video about, which I'll leave a link about the plague of darkness below. And then the final plague, which is the death of the firstborn. And we'll see if that happens. We'll see if these 2 last plagues happen. Apparently there's been a lot of people who've seen the 3 days of darkness recently. I made a video about it about 3 or 4 years ago. So as I said, I'll post a link to that below. So please pray for Brian Harvey. I think that he's been making an effort to read God's word. Obviously he's been under a great deal of pressure. It's my belief that God is strengthening him in order to use him, in order to expose these individuals and maybe even these organisations that are behind you know, all the wickedness that's going on, which most of us suspect who they are anyway, but you know, anyhow. So God bless you guys, and don't let these dirty pigs get you down.